and going ahead and securing some more economy here. He still does not know about that Nexus though, so it's gonna be this may be a situation where Upmagic really is going to be surprised by the number of units that Harangi is going to be able to produce, just because of the fact that, and here's some additional harassment it looks like that Upmagic's going for. Does manage to kill a few drones here, but that Vulture is going to get cleaned up with relatively good defense by Harangi. And going back to what I was saying, this is a situation where, since Upmagic is running off 3 bases, actually, he would assume at this point, based upon the information that he has gathered, that he's actually in a really good economic position, when in fact, he's actually equal in bases and economy to Ferengi. But there's no way for him to know that, because he has not scouted that additional Nexus, which is really the strength of this Ninja Nexus. I mean, he has nothing defending it whatsoever. He has no cannons, nothing at all. He's just counting on the fact that Upmagic is just not going to find it. And really, it's going to be a situation where I feel that Upmagic is going to be confused for the majority of this game at just the ability of of Harangi to produce units, when in fact he's assuming that he's working off just his one base and his natural expansion, which in fact isn't the case. Actually, going back to the action in the game, it looked like Harangi was in the process of throwing down a Stargate at his main, and it looks like a dropship has been produced by Upmagic. So at this point, we're going to see some drop play, which I believe is very strong on this map, by Upmagic. Probably some tank harassment, maybe utilizing some of these cliffs and ledges to his advantage. And it looks like an additional command center has been thrown down, and another throw transfer going through. So Upmagic is in fact, I think, securing an economic lead despite the Ninja Nexus. It's always important as a Protoss player to out-expand your opponent, and despite the fact that he got that early Nexus and the early economic advantage, I feel as though he's losing that advantage rapidly. And it looks like Upmagic is in the process of sending out a dropship to Harangi's base, and he's going to be able to drop tanks right next to the mineral line. No units to defend this whatsoever in Harangi's main, and it looks like he's managed to transfer all of his probes relatively quickly, so no real damage there as far as losing units. But that cannon's going to go down. Zealot manages to eat up those mines, and it looks like those Zealots are going to be able to reach this tank. So not a whole lot of damage done, really, I would have to say, by Upmagic in this attack. Minor economic damage, perhaps, in the ability that he had to force those probes to retreat for just a moment. But on the whole, I would have to say that harassment was not particularly successful. And I kind of disagree with what he did there. I don't like the Vultures necessarily as well as the tank. I feel as though the 2-tank drop would have been a little bit stronger, been able to do a little bit more damage more quickly. Or if you'd gone all Vultures, for instance, you might have been able to affect a little bit more damage. But now lots of dropships, and now 3 dropships are moving out. Observer, though, is right in Upmagic's base, and I don't think he has any idea that he's been spotted, basically, that with these dropships, or that these dropships are Horang is very aware of them. So they might not be as successful as they might have been. And it looks like he might actually try to utilize this ledge, and I agree with this. This I like. Tanks on the ledge, right outside of Harangi's outside of his natural expansion, and this can cause significant damage. If he can hold this cliff, he's going to be in a very, very nice position to affect a lot of damage, already taking out a few units. But that is a very strong position to hold, and it looks like he's going to be able to easily thwart off any counterattack, any kind of drop that Harangi might be able to produce at this point. There's not a whole lot that Harangi's going to be able to do about this harassment. At the same time, Upmagic has a very stalwart defense affected at his own base with tanks and vultures. So at this point, Upmagic in a very, very strong position, it looks like, to really start to push out on the map when he decides to. I feel like Upmagic has secured himself a little bit of an advantage, both in terms of his unit and unit selection, as well as his economy. With all these, I mean, if you can just look at the mini-map and kind of see his dominance on the top there. The Arbiter's out on the field, and it looks like we're going to see a drop by Harangi. He's managed to drop some Zealots that are stealth by this Arbiter. Oh, but additional units dropped on the cliff. Goliath now on the cliff as well for additional defense. So it looks like Upmagic is very adamant about securing his position on this cliff. And And I agree with that tactic. I agree with what he's doing. I think that it's very important that he holds